Yeah, just had to fix my chair briefly. To start the session, otherwise I'll disappear going down, going downwards as the webinar progresses. I hope you're well. I hope you're good. I hope you had a great weekend. Got some interesting news to share with you, as well as the market news, and of course, checking out whether we can see some potential setups in the market today. A bit of movement already, actually, in a few assets, and we'll talk about that and the whys and wherefores in a moment. Of course, as we do, just remember this is for educational purposes only. What that means in essence is you need to do your own due diligence on anything you see here. Make sure you follow trading plans. Make sure you manage risk on every trading action, consistent with your own personal trading objectives and financial situation. We're always here to help. We can't give personal advice, but we can advise on how to best use your platform and manage your account as appropriate. Right, let's get into it, shall we? We'll look at the headlines first. Oh, we haven't got the headlines showing there. It's interesting. There we go. We should be good now. There we go. Yep, all good. Sorry about that little blip. But right, okay, so the headlines first. We saw US equities bounce late in Friday's session, really looking miserable earlier in the day. But what this meant, and we'll have a look at a chart in a moment just to demonstrate this, is that we managed to hold support. The US government shutdown continues, but the big news of the day is that there may be support uh, for a proposal that's been put forward. Lots of negotiations still going on, but it looks as though there may be progress, which is a good thing. And consequently, the futures have bounced. Earnings season remains positive. We've got around 10% of the S&P 500 still to report, but at this stage we're 82% have beaten EPS expectations and 77 have beaten revenue expectations. So a very positive earnings season overall, which is one of the reasons why markets have held up valuations okay, even despite the pullback that we've had. As I said, the US futures are positive. We'll check those out in a moment. Asian markets generally higher. Last time I looked, European futures point to a cautiously positive open. The US dollar index, which has been strong for a little while now on the back of a slightly less dovish Fed than was the case because of that sticky CPI. Um, so we were at 3-month highs, but we did retrace a little bit um, from those 3-month highs, resistance level as well, which is the other reason technically it seemed difficult to push through that on the US dollar index futures. Gold is retesting 4,000. It's above that this morning. Copper's range bound after last week's test of support. And oil's paused near the bottom of a range that it hit early last week and didn't really move from there. Bitcoin is holding $100,000 support, but is really volatile above that. We'll check a chart of that in a moment as well. And of course, as well as final earnings, the US government news and any trade news. um, we are waiting to see whether the US CPI is going to be released this week. It is due. But of course, if the government shutdown continues, that may not happen. It is a quiet day today. Now, bear in mind, it'll be a US holiday tomorrow. Equity markets are open. Bond markets are shut. Maybe slightly quieter with trading volume. So just keep an eye on that in terms of if you are invested, particularly, I'm guessing, in US stocks and related indices. Okay, let's move to looking at hopefully looking at if it is playing ball today. Yes, it is. So that's what the futures are doing. You can see there we've got positivity in Nasdaq to the tune of around about 0.85%. Maybe AI stocks are due for a bounce. Dow's a little sluggish. You can see the European futures are looking perky. Nikkei's up this morning, obviously. We've seen some buying into crude oil. Nice bounce for gold and copper this morning. Copper back over $5. That's really technically important. FX markets fairly flat with the exception of some positivity in the Aussie, possibly on the back of some of those materials, underlying commodities doing well. And the yen is looking a little weaker than it was at the start of the session. If we look at the data that's coming out, you can see it is, as I said, right, we're going to try and refresh this because it's not giving me the whole week. You can see there, an agreement is nearly ready. That's what's helping. That's what's helping the Forex factory appears to be stuck. Okay, we'll not play with Forex factory then. Let's check out CNBC. Appears as though the whole internet might be a little shut. We're still good on that. Okay. Don't forget to like the video if you're watching on YouTube, of course. The news is that we are going back on to GoToWebinars from this Thursday. We'll still do the concurrent YouTube session, so it'll be streamed live on YouTube as well as Go Market. So watch out for that link. It is one that let's just get rid of the futures and see if that helps. Okay. Not sure why we're having a blip. We're having a blip. There we go, CNBC, we're back. Okay, so let's have a look at Asia. You can see ASX is up around about 0.5%. Nikkei is just shy of 0.1%. The China market is neutral. Hang Seng is looking higher. So there we go. If we look at the ASX in some detail, let's just check out. I'm pretty sure that the resource sector will be rocking and rolling. It is, and IT on the back of the Nasdaq futures been higher. So we've got a sort of risk-on vibe in Australia. You can see there if you like, the defensive stocks, staples, utilities, real estate, telecom, and healthcare. All of the bottom five, which are all defensive stocks, are all looking a little troubled, whilst the money is going back into the risk-on assets. So up around 0.6 as we speak. Right. Okay. Let's check out some charts, shall we? I think it's that time to do that. And what we'll do is we'll just have a look at the US indices to start with. And here's the Nasdaq on your screen right now. You can see there that drop we had through the European session, beginning of the US session. Then we had a significant bounce, really nice V shape. A little tepid. We did gap up in this morning's trading, but we're getting some buyers coming back in. This is looking very interesting technically. Maybe a pause around 25,480. Let's just see what I just want to see what the EAs are doing, maybe. Yeah, we've just got a few EAs opened up over the last sort of half an hour or so. But you can see there's that positivity. If we look at the US the S&P 500 daily futures, you can see there was that Friday action where we got that big wick to the downside as a test of support, and then the bounce to hold support slightly higher today, as we've already outlined. So that's a really interesting candle in terms of rejection. US dollar index, you can see that sort of pullback from that, essentially from a high not seen since the end of July. We're playing with the 200 MA, we're playing with the resistance, so a fairly clear couple of reasons why we're not moving higher. And of course, the beneficiary of that is gold, and gold is moving. This is a really strong chart. Technically, you can see we have been lounging around in in a range ever since the test of 3922. We had a good week last week, towards the back end. It's brought us back up near the top of the range on Friday. This is today's candle. So over 40.40 is technically important. You can see there on the chart, there's the interesting move. That's a really strong technical chart. So, yeah, doing good. Copper's also having a nice bounce. You can see it is range bound on the daily chart. Bounced off that support at around about 490. We did say it was testing $5. That's a key psychological level. $5 has been a bit sticky. You can see plenty of. We just change the color of this line so it's clearer. You can see it has been a price point where prices have migrated to. We had its support there, resistance there, support there, resistance now. So a brief of around 502 would be very interesting technically. Let's just push that up a little bit just to match the highs that we hit on Thursday at 503.36. A potential move to around about 508 on the cards technically if we do get some follow through in this. But copper starting to pick a bit of steam. Oil held that support at just under $60, around about 59.75 on the futures contract. Currently trading just over 60. Nice bounce in this morning's trading. Too early to start jumping up and down about entry. There could be a pause point around about 60.50 and then another one around about 60.70. So we're still in the realm of, and this is really important, we're still sort of in the realm of lower highs if you look at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 peak. So looking almost triangular. If you look at the 4-hourly chart, you'll see that a little better. So almost a symmetrical triangle being created right now. So I would sort of maybe even hang on looking at oil with any seriousness to around about 60.52. I said Bitcoin had been choppy. There's that choppiness. We talked about this when we last met, actually. That bounce of 100,000, really important psychological level, of course. We had a down day, up day, down day, up day, down day, up day, and you can see today we saw the buyers coming back in. We've been moved up to around about 110,000 from this, just around 1060. It's now 10,600. Probably about 10,700, maybe 10,700. Sorry, 106. It's still 106. It's still 106. 650 as a line to keep an eye on. That's been the high of today. You can see it with support here and here. A little bit of price action consolidation around that price point there as well. So a potential short-term move on this. Too early too early yet. You can see it hit that and then just pull back over the last hour. So of the major asset classes, then certainly there's got to be interest in the Nasdaq. Short term, maybe a move over 29,325. The gold's looking great. You can see that's continuing higher. And copper, if it breaches 503.36. So those are all our major risk on assets are doing quite well this morning. Let's check out some FX. You can see those EAs have opened. We are actually stuck on the daily chart beneath this 105.41 level. We had a slight gap up and then a move to the upside. Let's just see where this sort of lands. Not a very compelling, not a very compelling setup in light of that previous resistance. So if discretionary trading this, you might want to wait until that 504, sorry, 154 is broken, which was a range that we traded in quite frequently over the last month or so. In fact, 2 weeks or so. Just to put it into context, put it on a 4-hourly, you can see how important this range has been previously. But we are getting close to the top of this range, so maybe a test and a breakout, possibly. Look at the Euro USD. We did have a little pullback in early last week, but then that bounce on that sort of US dollar pullback. If we look at the chart today, You can see we actually pulled down initially, but we've seen some buying coming back into the euro. I'm not really liking this chart. FX looks a bit wobbly, but then that's a Monday for you. Euro yen looks really good though. Um, you can see our breakout indicator in its full glory there. So that move through, there's the wick high, there's the wick high. That's what's created the range. That pull back a couple of times. Now we've breached, looking good, but it could be quite sticky around about this 177.90 level. You can see it was support here, it was resistance here. So I'd be waiting for a move through that. If we do breach that, then there's a really healthy move up of around about 50 pips up to about 178.50. That's the favorite for right now. We also, of course, are seeing some buying into other yen crosses. Not that compelled about, whoops, not that compelled about the Canadian yen, but the Aussie yen, if we bring it on, is looking like a really nice potential setup. We're looking at 100.36 to take us. It's a good trade if you got on it early this morning. That's moved up around about 70 pips already. Too late to get into this, obviously, unless we get a breach of 100.36. This is going to make my chart of the day. I think it looks really strong. Potential move up of around about 40 pips, I think, to around about this sort of 175. So there you go. That's the FX world. I'm just going to switch accounts to pop in some US some CFDs. There we go. Um, right, some positive moves and grooves. Let's just have a look at a few that we tracked last week. Domino's isn't really taking the world by storm. Um, let's pop on 360 ASX, which has been a favorite of ours for some considerable time. If we just look at the price action today, you can see potentially a bounce of that. Wouldn't be interested in once it gets over that level there at around about 50.50. It might actually be quite hard to find one that's really sort of jumping up and down, but whoa, Liontown Resources. Let's check out Liontown. Really strong bounce today. That looks. I'm just going to do a quick check and see if that's corporate because it is spectacular. Uh, no, it's just a good day at the office. But of course, that isn't the only lithium stock. All of these are lithium stocks that are at the high. Vulcan Energy, uh, PLS, uranium stocks looking good. Let's have a look at PLS, which is at 10%. I think this is worth keeping an eye on. There we go. I think that's the level to look at. 329. It's trading around 320 at the moment. Let's actually just put another normal chart on here and let's put Vulcan Energy up. That's still a little work to do. That's a really nice break on MND. Checking on whether that was corporate news or not. So this company in resources as well. Diversified resource stock, which is probably why it's doing quite well. Let's see if there's any corporate news that I can find. Yep, business update. They've done a business update today, which has obviously been very well received by the market. So that's flying. In terms of where this sits, you can see on a weekly chart, this is all-time highs for this resource stock. I can do the same again. There's our gap tool. Nice gap this morning. Let's have a look at Paladin on an hourly chart. Let's move this here so we don't lose it for later in the week. Really nice bounce on for Paladin. Probably too early to get in. This level around about 823 is of interest. But that just looks a bit messy to me compared to A couple of the others. Mineral Resources doing well. Whoops, didn't want to enter that yet. And LYC worth a look. So rare earths have been under pressure to the downside over the last month after all sorts of business dealings in that rare earth space. But that's a really nice bounce. Just keep an eye on that. I don't think it's right for today. Um, Zipco, we've talked about regularly in terms of this is a stock that has been under pressure. I said watch that 200 MA last week. It did actually come down and touch that. Really nice short going on with Zip, but now we've got a bounce. Could be moved back up to $4. Um, if you like your stocks bouncy, this could be a reason. Let's just see. Stick a Bollinger Band on it. Yeah, you see what we've done is we've moved outside the Bollinger Band back in. The combination of that makes this an attractive if you want to get in at this level uh, at 355. I'll be waiting for that 355 level. Look for a move up to $4 in the short term. But there's no doubt that the chart that's excelling today is MND. That's the one that's looking particularly interesting. Haven't looked at Webjet for an eternity. That's why. Just see what some of these other stocks are doing. Wise Tech Global. Now, a lot of these tech stocks in Australia have been belted. IEL. Recovering after a fairly a megaport we had actually to look at. Where was up here with that? Pulled down way too early. Obviously, gold stocks looking good today. Let's have a look at Evolution Mining, just see where that sits. Yeah, it looks as though gold stocks are recovering a little bit. There could be on Evolution. If you like your gold stocks rather than your gold futures, I'd probably wait till I move over 1150 on Evolution, to be fair. All right. Okay. So just have a look at MP. That's missing a chunk of data. There we go. There we go. Really nice bounce up 200 MA. Okay. So we're gonna stick with our previous call, but we quite like Zip also for this potential bounce as well. Anyway, that's how that is. Let's have a look at Nvidia, which have been favorites of ours. Now, it was this sector that bounced very well. Now, you can see Nvidia pulled back down to support matches, obviously, what was happening in the US. Tesla's got belted. Well, not belted, about 5%, but it looks really, really stuck underneath this 468 level. I think we need something new to happen to Tesla to bring it above. Um, This was an ETF that we talked about at our rare earths recent inner circle. That's bouncing nicely, 64. This could be worth a nudge. So there's an ETF that is focused on rare earth and strategic metals. That's good. Robinhood bouncing off support um, in this range that it's in. Could be moving back up to 150, but not breaking records. I'm really interested in where Delta Airlines are. Yeah, look, we've got a really nice bounce in the airlines. Again, another stock bouncing off 200 MA. Um, Carnival, the cruise ship company. Bit of an earnings dip, but the market hasn't sold that off significantly. No, I'm not liking that really at all. And JP Hi-Fi not looking too flash. I'm gonna go this rare earth ETF. REMX. Um, I think this is a good medium term hold. Of course, you can look at the Nvidias of this world, and the AMDs, etc. Did we have a look at AMD? I don't know whether we did or not. Actually, MU were flying the other day, but they're actually down in after hours trading. Okay, if you want a straight stop, Micron are down extended hours trading. I'm not sure why, but they are looking trend continuation level. We'll see. No, not Nvidia. So keep an eye on MU, the US, and REMX as the ETF. Those will be the two I'll be looking at. Okay, so there we go. That's it for today. I hope that's been interesting, useful, all that sort of stuff. Thank you very much for being part of today. Um, so make sure that you thank you for ticking that little thumbs up. Let's see if you've done that. It's appreciated. As I said, on Thursday we're going back on to go to webinar, but the YouTube stream will be as is. So it's the same as it is for Inner Circle. So whichever way is best for you to watch it on, it'd be great to see you there if you can make it along. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Catch you again very soon. Bye, my friend.